Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. We got our winner for the Offspring tickets, so thank you for trying to win them all week long. We'll have more incredible free stuff at 8 o'clock coming up next week, so be with Brian and Kenzie for sure. Now it's time for Case's movie review.
For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and we will be open for business.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
Utah. Give me 2.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand.
Now fry like bacon, you little freshman piggies. Fry! Fry!
Playing football in West Canaan may have been the opportunity of your lifetime, but I don't want your life.
Well, it's exciting today because it's a movie that people have said from the beginning that Case should watch, being one of the greatest sports movies of all time, and he's from Indiana and never saw it. In case you're new to the show, Case is 26 years old, and before we started this, is this the 1-year anniversary of starting it?
1 year ago this week, I watched Braveheart, and it has led us here.
You can go back and find all his reviews on that one app, that movie app. What's it called?
Oh, I thought you meant the Brian and Kenzie podcast, which you could also do, but the Letterbox app. I'm on Letterbox at Caselow. That is my name, CASELOWE.
Yeah.
Brian has started promoting that damn movie app more than us. Stop talking about it.
Trying to get an endorsement out of that.
Jeez.
And that's why we're doing Hoosiers, because, of course, the tragic loss of one of the greatest actors of all time, if not the greatest, Gene Hackman, a couple weeks ago. And he is from Indiana. Should have saw Hoosiers. Hasn't seen it, of course, like a lot of movies. But
yeah, I'm from Indiana, not Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I don't remember where he's from. New York, I think he's from.
Oh, sure.
Which also relates in the movie. He's kind of from New York. So Hoosiers debuted almost 40 years ago, November 14th, 86, with a budget of $6 million. Only did 28.6 at the box office, but of course became a cult fanatic movie through, Blockbuster and then, of course, streaming. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 91% based on 47 reviews with an average rating of 7.6 out of 10. It's named the 4th greatest sports movie of all time by ESPN.com. And here we go. Let's get into it. Case, you have now seen Hoosiers, being from Indiana yourself, and let's get into it. What did you think of Hoosiers?
Well, let's start with the trailer, as we always do.
My bad. Here's the trailer from 1986.
We're going to be a tough team to beat. Now you come along for the ride.
A tough coach. He turned losers into fighters. Enemies into friends.
I play, coach stays. He goes, I go.
Challenges into triumphs.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, in my book, we're going to be winners.
Hoosiers. It'll go straight to your heart.
We'll go. Wow, really quick trailer.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't waste time in 86.
No, they don't waste time in this movie.
I feel like I learned nothing about what it was going to be about from that trailer.
They said
some cheering.
Turned losers into winners, turned enemies into friends. And that's the movie, Kenzie. That's it. That's the whole movie.
I mean, that could be war. That could be sports. That could be class. I don't know what that is.
So, Case, first thoughts on Hoosiers.
Hoosiers is a movie made up of the rudest people that have ever walked on the face of the earth.
Wow, out of the gate, you're going for it, huh?
I can't believe the way that they treated Gene Hackman in this movie. Now, granted, he had his own issues that we will get into. But this humble elderly man shows up to this podunk town in Indiana, a town with one stoplight and 65 people, basically. And he's like, hey, you guys love basketball more than anything on earth. I'm here to coach your basketball team. In the way that he is treated from the entire town is absolutely appalling. He walks into school the first day, because I believe he also teaches civics.
Yeah, coaches have to teach.
Yeah, and they always teach whatever the blow-off classes at that school. All the football coaches at my high school, they were like, oh, I'm a checks notes social studies teacher. Like, oh, of course you are.
Also, when you say he's an elderly man, it was 40 years ago. Now, Gene Hackman died at 95. He was 55 back then, but he still looked the same.
He did. He's one of those guys that has apparently has looked 55 for his entire life.
Yeah.
But if you remember, he walks into the school, and Barbara Hershey's character greets him, and she goes, who are you? And he says, I'm the new basketball coach. And she says, within seconds of meeting him, oh, I thought you would have been younger.
Ugh.
Who does she think she is? It is unbelievable. He goes and he finds this recluse Jimmy Chitwood, who was allegedly this great basketball player, but his dad died, so he doesn't play basketball anymore, which that didn't make any sense to me.
Whoa. Don't just brush over that. His dad died.
Okay.
And he's in high school.
And what? He doesn't have a jump shot anymore?
Well, it's traumatic.
Yeah, if my dad died, but I could shoot like that, I'd be on the court every damn day making my dad proud.
Kenzie, would you play a sport if your dad passed away in high school?
I don't play sports either way.
No, we found out you were a rugby player for a little bit.
I've tried everything, okay? But I just, never really said it. Nothing ever got me to run fast. I tried, and I don't know, nothing's doing it.
Well, as we've proven on the show.
Maybe if my dad would have died, maybe I would have run fast.
Oh, boy.
I didn't get to try that, but.
We've proven this week that you wiggle when you try to play sports.
I do have to wiggle.
So, there you go.
So he goes and tries to find Jimmy Chitwood because he's like, hey, I've got a bunch of bad basketball players on my team. You're the best one in town. They talk to you, they talk about you like you're the basketball messiah. Maybe you want to play for my team. He doesn't get a hi, a hello, a thank you, but I'm not interested. He just gets completely ignored by this 16-year-old. I would have throttled this kid. I can't believe the way they treat this guy. And then the townies, all these people with their barber shops and their mechanic shops and all these other small-town ventures that they have, they're all like, he's not the coach of our boys. We play a zone defense here, and he wants to play man-to-man. What is everybody's problem?
Wait, I love your hillbilly accent.
Oh, our boys here, they play a zone defense. We've learned that that's what's best for them. Why? Because they're out of shape? What is this? That's like, he walks into the gym for the first time. I was like, just so you know, we play a zone here. Like, okay, cool.
Listen, before you go on, being from Indiana, do you think the movie represents Indiana people not wanting outsiders to come in and tell them how to play basketball?
Well, I think it depends on who the outsider is. Sometimes, I don't know. This town... It's funny the way that we think about small towns, right? Because if this movie would have happened in New York City or Chicago, I think we would all be in agreement that, hey, the people in this movie were really rude to Gene Hackman. But for some reason, when you're in a small town, it allows you to operate differently. And now, again, when Gene Hackman is greeted with, well, we play a zone defense here, and I thought you would be younger, we're like, they're just in a small town. That's how they are. Well, how they are is rude.
You know what's interesting? Even the concept of outsider. Gene Hackman doesn't exactly give city slicker energy. Like, what do you mean outsider? Different small town?
You're so right, Kenzie. It's not. Yeah, he doesn't come in looking like Pat Riley,
right,
coach of the Lakers in the '80s with a pompadour, slick back hair, or whatever. Like, no,
I want to beg
to pull up in a Maybach.
Listen,
they're like, whoa, big guy.
I want to beg to differ a little bit. He was wearing a sport coat and a tie when he walked in. Now, I know the movie I think is based in the 50s.
Yeah, I know with these tractor pullers in the small town Indiana, a sport coat with elbow patches makes him like a city slicker, but let's relax a little bit.
Before you go on, Tim from Addison checked in. He was born in Indiana. Mm-hmm. He said where he grew up in Indiana, which was southern Indiana, that's how they treated outsiders.
Oh, boy.
So thank you, Tim. He got to Addison, which is a very friendly city.
That's what I've always heard.
I've heard they welcome new coaches in Addison very nicely, but not there in Indiana. So... Okay, that's an interesting first take on Hoosiers, that they were just rude.
Yes, I felt bad for Gene Hackman because they were so rude to him. And then I watched him coach a basketball game, and I thought, wait a minute, they might be onto something in this town because Gene Hackman is a bad basketball coach. The rule that you must pass 4 times before you shoot the ball is criminal. If I would have seen that as the principal, he would have been on the first bus out of town the next day.
Okay. I'm going to defend him here.
Okay.
Those kids were selfish pricks.
They were. And basketball is a team sport, and you have to play as a team. But you can't get mad at a kid for making an open shot. He benches a kid and then only plays with 4 players because he drained a jumper. I'm sorry. That's not how basketball works.
Oh, my dad would have loved that.
Right, like if Michael Jordan's on your team, pass to him. You know
True.
what I mean?
But they didn't, to the point, Kenzie, they didn't have Jimmy on the team yet, even though the one kid hit the half-court shot in the first play of the game, and they bench him, and then they boo the coach.
That would be my luck. I'd finally play a sport. I would drain a shot, and I'd get benched. I'd be like, you know what? I can't do anything right now.
Kenzie, you're supposed to pass it before you shoot, Kenzie.
Okay.
I know you were wide open under the hoop, 1 foot from the rim, but pass it back out.
It's a completely arbitrary rule. It doesn't make any sense.
Can I tell you that my basketball coach in high school watched Hoosiers? He had to have, and he had the same rule. He ran us to death, but we didn't win the state title. We don't even get the steak.
That's because everybody watches these movies. I had an English teacher who did the same thing. She thought she was going to be the teacher out of the Freedom Writers, so she just turned this badass. And it's like, it doesn't work here. It's not, there's no camera crew. You can't behave like this.
Although it is based on a true story. Hoosiers is.
It is. You know, this movie is an odd one because I was entertained by large chunks of it. Like, it's almost a 2-hour movie. The studio said that it had to be under 2 hours, so he made it an hour 57 minutes, which I thought was funny. But
what a flex, too, by the director. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but it moves too quickly. Like, by the time Jimmy Chitwood goes to the town hall meeting, it says, like, if Coach stays, I play.
I want to hear your Indiana accent again.
This is Jimmy Chitwood. He goes, if Coach stays, I play. If he goes, I go.
Now, I want to make a reference because I'm sure Kenzie hasn't seen this movie in a while, and I watch it often. None
of this is ringing a bell, I have to be honest.
Well, he sounds nothing like that in the scene. Case is really angry right now at these outsiders that were rude, or the insiders that are rude to the outsider. So he gave Jimmy Chitwood a hick accent, which he was the only one in the movie that doesn't have one.
Well, he's got like 4 lines in the movie. He's like the Terminator in T1. He just never speaks.
By the way, Chitwood's a tough last name.
It is. You can do some things with that.
Be careful with that.
Exactly.
So he joins the team, and I was expecting after that, like a montage of him doing windmill dunks and reverse slams in the Space Jam, like, come on and slam, and welcome to but none of that happens. He's just on the team at that point. There's another point in the movie in which they get into a full-on brawl on the court, and a player on the Hickory team is shoved into a glass trophy case. He has shards of glass in his shoulder, and we don't really ever see the fallout from that. The next scene is like, all right, here's my man-to-man defense is important. You boys are going to run this practice. It's like, wait, hold on. We had a full-on brawl, and now we're just moving on. It's the only movie I've watched in the last year where I actually feel like it moved too quickly. A lot of the time, I'm like, Braveheart, it was just like, get to the point, Mel Gibson, what are you doing? This movie, nothing really sinks in. They just jump around so quickly. I actually think they lose some of the dramatic effect in this movie from the pacing of it.
Your accents don't match at all. It's wonderful. But
he's setting the scene for me. I have a visual of what's happening.
Okay, as long as you're helping Kenzie with this one, it's good.
Look, even with my issues with the movie, the characters in this movie are very fun. I think Gene Hackman is a wonderful basketball coach. We'll listen to one of his monologues in just a second. Dennis Hopper, is that his name?
Dennis Hopper, a legendary actor.
Yeah. So he plays the town drunk that for some reason is not only a high school basketball savant, he knows about every player in the state. He also gets hired as an assistant coach despite being publicly intoxicated in pretty much every scene that he's in for the first 40 minutes of the movie.
Hey, you got to get second chances to people.
Yeah, how'd that work out for him?
Well, Gene Hackman got him clean at the end. Got him, clean's the wrong word.
God, he was busy in this movie, huh?
Yeah, Gene Hackman,
Jesus.
He had to teach social studies or civics.
Yeah.
He had to coach a team, a bunch of losers, until Jimmy got there.
This guy got clean. Yeah. Oh, my God. What is he, the Messiah?
I do want to share that in order for Dennis Hopper to play these scenes drunk, what he would do is he would ask the director of the movie to give him a 10-second warning before he was going to yell action, and then he would spin around in a circle and make himself dizzy so that by the time action was yelled, he was just completely out of his equilibrium, which is very funny to me.
That is amazing. Yeah. What a tidbit on that movie. You
just would have had a few margaritas. That'd been the fun way to do it.
Well, Dennis Hopper, notoriously a big partier in real life. So, wow, he was. I think everybody knows that town drunk in towns like that, too. I grew up in a smaller town, and everybody has a town drunk. They would come to the games and talk and know everything about basketball.
Yeah, they're normally not the assistant coach. That obviously did not work out well for him. Look, it's a fun movie. Gene Hackman is incredible. Before I give my rating, I do want to hear the monologue. This is from the regional championship game. And growing up in Indiana, going to Pacers games, all of the time because I do love basketball, this is Jumbotron fodder. This is on the Jumbotron before every Pacers game, and I was finally able to contextualize it with what is really an incredible monologue.
Goosebumps coming. Here we go. On the way.
There's a tradition in tournament play. Not talk about the next step until you've climbed the one in front of you. I'm sure going to the state finals is beyond your wildest dreams, so let's just keep it right there. Forget about the crowds, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay?
Slow clap.
All right,
Kenzie, clap.
let's go. Let's go. Let me hear it.
Oh, my
They
gosh.
weren't on beat. White team.
It's a basketball movie, Kenzie, with about 2 black guys in the entire movie. It is a
I'll
white
tell you why the
basketball
team wasn't doing good. I'll tell that.
Listen, that speech, I am a giant goosebump right now. I went back to my high school days right there in that speech. The marching band playing in the background. Their fancy uniforms the other school has. Oh, God, I love it. Ooh.
Well, despite what I thought was an incredible performance from Gene Hackman, a few really fun characters along the way, and basketball action that is actually quite thrilling throughout the entire movie, I thought they nailed the feel of a small-town Indiana high school basketball gym. I just feel like I was too old to watch this movie for the first time at 26. I think
You're 26.
and I'm too old to watch this movie for the first time.
Oh, my
I
God.
think this would have changed my life had I watched it at 9, but I didn't. Thus, all I saw was them hire an alcoholic to work with teenagers, which I can't get over.
Jesus.
As a result, Hoosiers, look, it's a good attempt. It is a fun movie, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a good movie. This is 5.5 basketballs out of 10.
5.5.
5.5
In
basketballs
fairness, he
out of 10.
didn't give kids alcohol, so it's not really that bad.
Okay, fair point, Kenzie. My bad.
Well, there you go. That's the review of Hoosiers. There's one more tidbit we were up against that Case wants to reveal about the movie about Gene Hackman that you won't believe about this movie. And when we come back, we'll get into that because he told me it's one thing I didn't know about the movie, and I've seen the movie 100 times. And if you've seen it 100 times, this is going to blow your mind in about 6 minutes.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
So we have Linkin Park on the way, and right after that song, we will give you the keyword for a chance to go see Linkin Park in London. That's all about 3 minutes away, so stay right here with Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Now, we just did Case's movie review of the movie Hoosiers, and there's some wonderful texts coming in. I'm not saying you didn't like the movie, but you did only give it 5.5 basketballs.
Yes.
Now, I was going to say something we never got into was the reason Coach Boone had to go to such a small town is because he punched a player. He was a college coach. And Kenzie, I don't know if you remember this.
I don't.
So it's in the movie. It's later in the movie. The Barbara Hershey's character finds a newspaper clipping because there was no internet back then in 1950s. Can you imagine a world like that?
Sucks.
Well, at least you get to get away from your problems.
That's
Now
right.
let's move to this town.
You could just punch a kid and escape and go to another city.
Yeah. And be like, just looking to relocate, rebuild.
And actually hired to be around kids.
I like that you said that as a positive. You're like, look at how awesome this is.
Oh, the good old days.
Times suck now.
Yeah. He had punched a player in his college, and so he got fired, and his friend, who was a principal of this tiny town, gave him a job to be coach of kids, saying, oh, he's not a bad guy. He just happened to punch this one kid. So,
Well, in college, they're adults at that point.
yeah, I agree. The kid could have defended himself. So there's a lot of text coming in about this. And like Veronica, for example, who's never seen Hoosiers and said, well, I'm sorry, that movie, after Case's review, sounds like a snooze fest. You didn't think it was a snooze fest, did you?
No, that's the thing. This movie is not a snooze fest. It actually moves too quickly. I really think they lose some of the meat of this movie by how quick they move on from some of the massive scenes in this. It's not boring, though. It's a 2-hour movie. I was not bored during it. I was more confused by most of it.
Yeah, this one really hits. So this is Adam checking in from Yorkville. Again, Case, a 26-year-old guy watching these movies for the first time, is 40 years old. That's why we do this, because it's different perspective, of course, than when you watched it maybe 40 years ago or even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Adam from Yorkville says, Case's review of this movie is a testament to how sensitive his generation is.
Oh, boy.
Back in the 80s, none of this stuff bothered us, and we just focused on the plot of the movie. Nowadays, all he can see when he watches is how rude and violent people are in this little town in Indiana, aside Adam in Yorkville. You want to defend yourself to that?
Everybody in this movie is rude and violent. What are you talking about? He walks into a school. He walks into school and says, I'm the new basketball coach, and is greeted with, oh, I thought you would have been younger. Who says that?
Case, have you ever thought to yourself, maybe you shouldn't be such a wuss? You know what I mean? You're like, maybe you should just take. Who cares?
Kenzie, every day I think that.
Yeah, right?
Thank you for reminding us of that too, Kenzie. Anthony checked in from Indiana. My takeaway, early takeaway, Case is not one of those Indiana boys in the Indiana night that Tom Petty sung about, representing his own state. Yeah, so a lot of very upset Indianians, or even just, I guess they'd be even people who've seen the movie like myself who love the movie.
Some would say a lot of upset Hoosiers, because that's what people from Indiana are called.
Oh,
like
look
the
at
name of the movie.
Well, you learned something in this movie.
Yeah, well, I knew that.
Well,
going
according to
in.
Case, the movie should be called Boozers because everyone's drunk.
Yeah. Didn't you answer somebody here on the text line about they were talking about that Dennis Hopper's character was the dad of one kid. That's why he was one of the coaches. And then Case replied, Kenzie, to him on the text line, yeah, but he was a drunk.
Yeah, I understand why he was one of the coaches. It was still a bad hire. Sometimes you got to take the hit on that. Sometimes people are just not fit for the job.
There's 45 people who live in that city. 45.
You're right.
How many of them do you think are basketball experts? Okay, they didn't live in Times Square. Okay, relax.
And also, he was a basketball expert. That guy knew everything.
He was. He's got to play the picket fence. That was sort of his signature play. Some of his defensive coaching strategy didn't make a ton of sense to me, but it seemed to work for Hickory, so good for them.
Finally, you had one tidbit that I had never heard about this movie, and I've seen this movie, so many years, about Gene Hackman since we lost him, and that's why you watched Hoosiers, about the behind the scenes of this movie. You want to share that?
Yeah, so Gene Hackman would come to love this movie, but while he was on set, he thought this movie was going to be such a disaster that it might kill his career. And I have a quote here. Angelo Pizzo was the writer and producer of this film, and he said that on set, Gene Hackman was called the Black Cloud because everywhere that he went, he tried to spread negativity. And according to the producer, Hackman said, quote, I just want you to be prepared for the fact that this movie might get on a few screens here in Indiana, but then it will end up being in the dustbin of films that never made it. And the only people who remember it are you, the people that made the movie. And I hope I forget it when my plane lands in Los Angeles.
Good Lord. What a take from him there.
Yeah. And, obviously this movie has had quite the legacy. Even if I don't love it, it is a movie that I recognize the historical significance of.
ESPN puts it as the fourth best sports movie of all time.
That's right.
Do you, Case?
No. I mean, look, what have I watched? I watched Major League. I watched Rudy.
You watched Varsity Blues, which is the greatest sports movie of all time.
Varsity Blues is just a knockout punch. That movie is phenomenal. Look, let me just say, Hoosiers is no Varsity Blues, all right?
I agree with you on that.
I liked this more than Major League, but I did like Rudy a little bit more than this, even if Rudy himself was annoying and twerpy, and I did not enjoy that character. I did love seeing him make his dad proud. That did make me emotional when I watched Rudy, thus I have to give the edge to Rudy.
Brian, do you have that ESPN movies list?
I do.
Oh, Case does in front.
Case does. Is radio on it? Why are you laughing?
He doesn't know the movie either, Kenzie.
Well, I'm familiar with it, but no, radio is not on that list. The top,
really?
Yeah, I know.
Let me get. Can I guess? Let me see here. Is Slapshot in the top 5?
Slapshot is number 5.
Number 5. So number 4 is Hoosiers. I'm guessing number.
Miracle's on there.
Miracle probably is on it, but not in the top 5. Is Miracle in the top 5? Not in the top 5. Okay. I'm gonna guess then.
This is starting to clash with Brian. You want to do some trivia real quick?
Okay, so
can I guess another one?
Yes.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams is number 7.
Okay, so out of the top
Nailed
5.
it.
So we got 5 and 4. I'm guessing Rudy is number 2.
Rudy is not on this list.
What?
I know.
That's shocking.
I know.
Is Any Given Sunday in the top 5?
Any Given Sunday is not on this list.
Okay,
I've never even heard of that. Is The Sandlot on it?
The Sandlot is not on this list.
What is happening?
There's 3 left, and I haven't named any of them yet.
Correct.
What is this, like the Oscars?
It is Brian's song, great Chicago movie, and very sad and tragic. Is that on the top 3?
Brian's song is number 18.
Oof.
I feel like Casey Kasem right now.
We can keep guessing. Maybe just tell us. I don't know.
What are the next ones?
The top 5 is Slapshot at number 5, Hoosiers at number 4, Raging Bull at number 3.
Raging Bull, which is a great movie,
I
but
don't even know that movie.
It's a great movie with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and it's a boxing movie, but it shouldn't be 3. It shouldn't be 3.
The first Rocky, which I reviewed last year, is number 2.
Oh, why didn't I think of Rocky?
I didn't even think of Rocky.
Me neither.
It's a niche sport. I was going like balls. Everything with a ball.
Well, let me think. What could be number 1 then?
Number 1.
Hold on.
Is it okay? Question. Let's get hints instead. Okay. Is it like a niche sport or a traditional sport?
It's a traditional sport.
It's traditional. Why are you rolling your eyes?
That was a funny question. I wasn't rolling my eyes.
Is it Coach Carter?
It's not Coach Carter.
Oh.
Good movie, but shouldn't be number 1.
No.
Well, yeah, but I don't think Raging Bull should be on the list. So
It's your
it's a
barometer.
roller coaster.
Is it Remember the Titans?
It is not Remember the Titans.
Oh.
Do you want me to give you the sport?
Yes.
Yes.
It is a baseball movie. It's a movie I have not seen. It's a baseball
Angels in the
movie.
Outfield.
It's not Angels in the Outfield.
Son of a bitch.
Is it Moneyball?
It's not Moneyball. This list was published before Moneyball came out.
Is it that really weird love baseball movie where it has the weirdest...
Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore?
No, not Fever Pitch. The super weird one. It's like Doonesy and whatever. And it's all minor league. God, what is it called? It's
I can't help you.
I hate it. Everybody loves it.
Should we end this? Or I want a baseball movie?
A baseball movie.
Is it? It's not Rookie of the Year, is it?
It's not Rookie of the Year.
Oh, that'd be so good if it was Rookie of the Year.
It's not the one where the kid breaks his arm and can throw really good, right?
Oh,
that one's...
That's that one.
Bull Durham. That's what I'm thinking of. Durham.
Bull
That's not
Durham.
that, right?
Bull Durham is ranked as the #1 sports movie of all time.
Oh, that's a bunch of garbage.
Oh, really?
That is
Okay.
that
That's
list.
what I was thinking of. Are you serious?
That list is on Piece of Garbage Madness
Bull
this year.
Durham is #1. That crappy love minor league where the girl sleeps with everybody.
Susan Sarandon, though, is pretty hot in that movie.
But who cares? She's effing everyone, and it's all minor league.
That's fun, though.
That's #1.
It shouldn't be number. I'm not defending it.
And I knew it. And I hate it.
Well, there we go. All right, after Lincoln Park, glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Go see Lincoln Park in London. We'll get you there.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.